Run, party, repeat. Welcome to the East Coast Adventures Dirt and Vert Podcast, where we talk all things running, racing, and training to help you get ready for your next big adventure.
Learn from our successes and our failures, and have fun at the same time. Join us right here every week with inspiring guests who share their captivating tales from the trails. And remember, nobody cares.
Run faster. All right. Welcome back to the Dirt and Vert Podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Matt.
And we have Chris Stangle with us today, RunFluent coach and race director. Chris has been coaching athletes for a little over 8 years, race directing for 3 years, and already has 7 events. And he shared a buckle today that's got me eyeballing it already for his 24-hour race. Chris is a race director, puts on races in Florida and in Ohio. And he's one of our very first guests for this season that we're going to roll out doing quite a few of the race directors around the East Coast. And we want to introduce Chris. He's a pretty great guy, and he's actually going to come visit us here soon at the Cherokee 130. Can't wait to hand him that buckle. But Chris, if you don't care, tell us about who you are and how you got into running.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Getting into running, I started running at a pretty early age, junior high, just track. I was more of a football player than a cross-country runner at the time, so I just ran track to stay in shape. High school was kind of the same story for the first few years until I realized I was a 5'10", 135-pound wide receiver that probably wasn't going to do much with football, and had already started talking to a couple schools about track, and everyone I talked to said, well, if you're going to come to school to run, you're going to have to run cross-country too. So I cried the day I quit football, but joined the cross-country team my junior year, and it was by far the best decision I ever made. Had a blast doing that. But then after getting out of high school, I was kind of young and dumb and didn't really stay focused with my first semester of college, and found out real quick that I was not ready for college. Jumped into the National Guard, joined the National Guard, and spent a whole lot of years serving the country and serving drinks in bars, and a whole lot of not running. For basically 20 to 30, I didn't run a step. Made a lot of crazy life choices, poor life choices, had a lot of fun. Went through a couple of tough relationships. I'm married, had a couple kids, divorced, and then I think I was 30, just about to turn 31. I was actually living over in Fort Pierce, Florida. My life was kind of crumbling around me. You're no longer a kid anymore in your 20s, you're 30 years old, divorced, made some bad choices, and then lived right on the island over in Fort Pierce, and was walking from, anybody's from over there knows the Jetty Lounge. I was walking from the Jetty Lounge back to my apartment, probably midnight, had a few drinks, and I see a dude run by me, and it just clicked, man, that used to make me happy. It's been a decade since I had really done it. I was like, I need to get back into running. So I didn't wait till the next morning. I went home, put on my running shoes, and was just like, how far can I run? Or can I still run? And I think I went out and dropped 10 miler at a 7:30 pace, half drunk. And I was like, well, I can still run. That set it off. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to run, keep running. So I signed up for my first marathon just on a whim. Signed up for the Columbus Marathon, ended up running it in 2011. And then I kept running, doing different things. And in the meantime, I moved back to Ohio and hanging out with my brother, trying to get him to run with me. And he had zero desire to run at all. But it was one day, I think we saw an ad or something online for a Savage race, obstacle course race. And he was like, if I'm going to run, that's what I would do. I would do that. And so I signed us up the next day and told him. So he started training with me, running with me. And then we did obstacle course racing for a few years, pretty heavily, traveled all over the place doing that. But it never was really my thing. I could perform pretty well in it, but I just didn't like all the obstacle training and different types of training that took away from running. I was always a good runner, but the obstacles were a pretty good challenge for me. So there was an endurance event. A company called Battle Frog used to have their BFX, which was a multi-loop OCR. And so I started kind of thriving in those, really enjoyed them. And then I actually won the race where I met my wife in Cincinnati, the BFX in Cincinnati, and was all pumped. And I like finally found my niche. Like, this is going to be my thing. I'm going to travel all over and go to all the BFXs. And the next week they announced that they were closing the company down. So that was that. So I still dabbled in it a little bit from there, but I decided I wanted to get faster on road running because I kind of completely dropped running other than OCR for a couple years. So I talked to a buddy of mine who I had met through like a local trail race, Zane Miller. He was at the time had just come off of the Air Force marathon team. And I was like, I just want to break a 1:30 half because I hadn't pushed a road race for speed. And so he was cool with like training me and, working with me a little bit. I think it was like 2 months in, we broke it in training, and I never even ended up going to run the race. I was like, we kind of just moved on to what's next. Zane is a little zany for sure. He says, well, I'm running this 100-miler. Come run this with me. And it was Not Your Mama's 100-miler, which is actually the same park where one of my races is now. And I'm like, well, I've never run more than a marathon, so I'm not going to run a 100-miler. But he didn't tell me like all the options. He was like, well, there's a 50-miler. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So my first ultra was a 50-miler on pretty gnarly trails, lots of climbing. So that was my intro to ultra running. And I was hooked right away. From there, I just kind of dove head first. And that's where it ends up down here. After meeting my wife, she told me, like, after our second date, she was like, hey, if we're going to keep doing this, I got to let you know I'm moving back to Florida as soon as I get a chance. And I really didn't have a desire to move back to Florida. So at the time, I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. And 6 months later, she's like, hey, I'm moving. So, and that, long story short, I ended up moving back down here with her. And when we moved here, that's when we started RunFluent, the coaching business. It kind of had been in the back of my mind the whole time. Back home, I was taking care of my grandmother for a few years and just didn't have the time to invest in it. So once we moved to Florida, I really dove headfirst into the coaching side. And that all stemmed from the OCR world. A lot of my peers were really good at obstacles, but would struggle with the run. So I had several people kind of reach out to me, giving people advice. And then one random day, somebody I didn't know contacted me asking me about running. And I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be a business idea in the long run. So again, once we got to Florida, we built RunFluent, and it's just kind of letting everything grow organically from there. We've kind of grown into a pretty recognized brand now. We have clients in 30 different states. Now we do have races in Ohio and Florida, 7 different races. It's just all kind of letting things happen as they present themselves to us. We're not really chasing anything, just being super blessed and enjoying our lives now.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So what was your very first race you started race directing?
Well, the first race, my intentions were always to put an ultra back at Great Seal State Park in Ohio, because that's where I ran my first ultra, but that coincidentally was the last ultra that was hosted in that park. Was my first one that I ever ran. So that was really my goal. But I kind of wanted to test the waters before hosting an ultra marathon. So we did do our first Christmas race here in Florida was just a 5K, 10K, just to get a feel for time, because we did all the timing ourselves. Actually, the first one we had our friends time. But just setting everything up and marking courses and trying to get a feel for it. We did the 5K, 10K at Christmas. So that was 2021 or 2022. 2021 was our first one. And then after that, the big deal at Great Seal was our first ultra that we hosted. And the awesome thing about that park, I mean, it was my daily playground before I moved. I ran there daily. Again, ran my first ultra there, and then my wife and I had our first date hiking in those trails too. So to host our first ultra there is pretty special. Every time I go there and I'm marking the course, it's just like kind of living a dream over and over again every year.
Pretty awesome. So now you host races in Ohio and Florida?
Yep.
And how many?
And now they all have ultra options now, or at least ultra capable timeframes.
How many of them offer buckles?
Only one.
Only
That one's
one.
coming up June 7th at Matakwa. Matakwa is it's an Indian name for tree, but that's just the name of the small park that we hosted at. And this race is kind of special to me because it was never meant to happen. And that kind of goes back to, just letting things happen as they're meant to be, because I was actually back in Ohio preparing for Yodi, which is our September race 2 years ago, which is a monster undertaking. But I was having a meeting with a lady that was in charge of the Ross County Parks District because I wanted to host a race at a park called Buzzard's Roost. Well, that's our October race now, Rule the Roost. That we were planning this race, and I just wanted to sit down with this lady because, ideas bouncing around through email take forever and kind of get misinterpreted. So we just sat down and we're chatting about it. And then she had this other small park, and she was like, "Do you think you could do anything with Matakwa?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't even know what Matakwa is. It didn't exist when I lived there before. I know it, like now that I know where it is. I mean, I grew up 2 miles from there, but it just didn't exist when I was around." So I'm like, "Well, what is it?" She says, "Well, we have a little over 2 miles of trails cut so far." And I'm like, "What am I going to do with the 2 mile loop?" Like, I really didn't have any interest in it. And my brother was there with me at the meeting, who's, by the way, now an ultra runner too. He was at the meeting with me. And I'm like, we didn't have anything to do. It was like 2 o'clock on Friday and packet pickup started at 4. So I was like, let's just drive out there, take a look at it to appease her. And then, we'll come back to town and go to packet pickup. And we go out there and it's like this gorgeous little pristine, mind you, she's telling me they're like rough cut trails and everything. I mean, they look like somebody went out there with a weed eater the day before, like right before I went out there. They were perfect. And it was just gorgeous. Single track up a trail or up a hill, like 200 feet, wraps around a little pond, beautiful single track back down. And then you have like a 0.6 mile loop in a field, and it just wrap it over and over and over again. So I go back to her and I look at my brother. I'm like, "Man, like, wouldn't this be fun to do for 24 hours? He was like, "She's not going to approve a 24-hour race out here. You got to cross the road." And I'm like, "We know this place. We can control it." So I go back and I was like, "Well, we will use your park if we can do a 24-hour event." And she was like, "No problem." She didn't even bat an eye because I think a lot of these properties are donated properties, and to use county funding for them, they have to have people out there. They have to have foot traffic. They have to people have to use these parks for somebody to invest in them. And it's hilarious because they have a trail cam on a tree that's got a counter on it. And as soon as we announced that race, they said it was like somebody hit the lottery. People were running up and down that trail because it's only a 2 mile loop. So that ticker was just going off like crazy. So needless to say, Matakwa's a thriving park, great race. They've even put like a disc golf course in there now. So it's really cool to see it all come together.
It's pretty buckle too. So
I haven't saw this.
Yeah,
buckle.
it's really pretty. Like, one of my clients, Kate Bikovich, she owns a company where she makes medals and stuff. And I was like, "You can do buckles, right?" And that's what she came back with. I'm like, "Okay, easy enough for me."
yeah, it's pretty. I like it. It's unique, and that's really what I mean.
It's thick too. I think it's like 0.6 pound, over half a pound.
Well, so much anymore, it's everybody's, there's a lot of these generic buckles that are just silver and gold, and it's they're a half a dozen. Like you got different designs, but they're all just silver and gold. So I love seeing something different.
Yeah, I love a good classic buckle for like the majors or something, but for something I'm going to host, like, it's going to stand out and people are going to come after it.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, put that on the race list.
Put it on the list.
Let me know when you go, because maybe I'll ride up there with you.
That's right. That's probably going to be a next year race. That's what I'm thinking.
Sounds good to me.
Battle Frog, man, I haven't heard that in years. I forgot all about that. Like, it's funny you say that. My very first race, like when I started running, because I started running in like 2015. But my very first big race, I actually was like pumped up and a little intimidated for, was a Spartan race.
Yeah.
Did a Spartan race and I did a Savage race, and that's kind of what got me fired up.
Yeah, Savage was our big thing for a long time. My brother one year ran like every single event that they hosted. They had like a special award for it, but we were heavy into it for a long time. it evolved and we got old, so moved on to longer and slower.
Yeah, I just, and it's one of those where I'm glad that I found it because it sparked a little flame, but nothing like what ultra running did,
What I actually love about my experience with OCR is that I learned that I could do a lot of strength training and stay fast, because it plays a big role now in ultra running, and also the way I coach is we do a lot of functional fitness that a normal strength coach would look at some of my workouts and wonder what the heck. They would get it, but they would think it was a little strange to have it in somebody's program. But that makes it one of the things that makes us a little different.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be an ultra runner, you got to strength train.
Yeah, for sure.
You can say what you want for 5Ks, 10Ks, and speed, but if you're going to run 100 miles, you got to have some muscle.
Yeah, no doubt.
I guess you don't have to, but it definitely helps. Yeah. So you met your wife at Battle Frog?
Yeah, it's a funny story, but I'll keep it relatively short. Like, we had been like peers on social media, but not like friends. You know what I mean? Like, we're all in the same groups, but never really talked on social media. So I knew who she was and always thought she was cute, but I, wasn't going to approach somebody like that. So and at the time we had a big OCR team. So we're setting up our tent and everybody's getting ready to run this race. And I look over and she's right next to us stretching. And I'm like, that's that girl. Like, in my brain, I'm thinking like, that's her. But I couldn't remember her name, because I just saw her face on social media. I don't remember. So I didn't want to like say hi and then not know her name. So I actually stalked her a little bit and memorized her bib number. And she just ran like whatever the pro course was, or whatever they called it, elite wave or whatever. So 2 laps of the race and she was gone. But I ran the 8-hour race, or however, I think it was 8 hours or 6 hours back then. And then I completely forgot about it. And I was at home, like getting a shower, and I was like, that girl. And I remembered her bib number. So I looked her up and I hit her up because I remembered her name. And I just asked her how her race was. And she knew who I was too. And, she was talking about her race, and I was just waiting for the question, like, how was your race? And I was like, oh, I won. And that was it. It started a big conversation, and that's how we met.
That's awesome. So now is she an ultra runner too?
She is. She's ran her first 100 a long haul 2 years ago. Her and my brother both ran their first 100 at the same one. So, and that's all my fault. So I really enjoyed that. She's kind of taking a little bit of a backseat right now because her daughter, my stepdaughter, is a freshman in high school. So she wants to be a little bit more present for her. So she's working more on speed. She wants a PR, a 5K, and a half marathon this year. So just switching up the programming. More time for her to crew me.
I love it.
She's the best crew person in the world. Everybody will tell you she's my cheat code.
Yeah. Hey, that goes so far. I mean,
no doubt.
A great crew person. I mean, they can help you so much shave hours off of your day, especially in a 100-miler.
Yeah, 100%.
What was your first ultra?
It was called Not Your Mama's 50-miler.
Okay, that's what I was looking at on here. I was like, okay, not a bad start to your first 100-miler to get third place overall and second male.
Oh, the 50-miler, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's a small race. I think there's probably only 20 people in the race, in the 50 anyway.
Are those two races? You ran 2 races back to back, like a week apart. One's called Not Your Mama's 150-miler, and then the next race is called Your Mama's Old School Trail Race 50-miler.
So that's a week apart. It's probably a week and a year apart, would be my guess.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So it's the same race director. He just moved it to a different park. So, yeah, that was my second. It was another 50. There was a 50K squeaked in there, but it was like a small, like, fat-ass race over in Dayton. I don't know where the results are, if there is even any results, but it was my first time running a 50K and realized it real quick that a 50K is a lot harder effort than a 50-miler effort.
Well, you
anyway.
I'm gonna say you've definitely ran. It looks like you've got 36 races on here, and you've got some good results. You've definitely
except for anything with the mountains. You look at those 60th percentiles, you'll see which ones they are.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, we all got our strong and weak points. We know what we got to work on. Yeah, I mean, I see Quest for the Crest in North Carolina. Everybody's pretty familiar with that race. Crim Zoom is one I've never heard of, but you were first place.
Yeah, that's down here. It's blast. They don't do the 100K anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's rolling hills. It's up in Brooksville, so it's hillier than you would think down here, but it's still really fast.
Well, you've got a mix of everything. Is what I love. Like you've got some fast stuff. You've got Cloudland Canyon. You got No Business.
No Business.
Forgotten
Yeah,
Florida.
that was a nightmare.
No Business was?
No, I loved the course. I was running really, really well. I was like 50K in. We had just left. I was like an old mill or something down by the river. As soon as we dove back in the woods, I got bit by something on the back of my right leg, and I just kind of limping. I started to run again. I got bit again, so I don't know if they were yellow jackets or what they were, but my whole leg swelled up like double the size of my left leg, and I hobbled 60 miles. I was like, because I was probably at 100K at like 6 hours or a little less, like 50K. I was like, fine, you know what I mean? I had plenty of time. But then I was like doing math the whole day for 31 hours, like to finish that race. I walked 60 miles on No Business course. So you know how that was not fun. It's a gorgeous course, but I was not going to DNF.
Like that mentality.
I don't coach it, but I just live it. I don't have a choice. It's in me.
Well, that's a characteristic that you can't train, but man, it goes a long way just to be tough.
Yeah, it's a different mindset for sure.
Yeah, but you've got some really good results on here, and No Business is definitely it's not a super technical trail, but it's definitely got some rolling hills, and I mean it's deceiving. When people look at it and they think 13,000, I think it's 13 or 14,000 feet elevation gain.
Yeah,
it feels like more than that.
100%. And then you're like 80 deep and climbing a ladder. Then
Yeah,
you go fall off a ladder. It's fun though. I loved it. It was beautiful. I'll have to send you a picture later. It was like me walking across that bridge coming towards the finish line, and I looked like the Terminator. I looked so mad. The eyes were just like burning the camera, and I was looking straight in the camera. I'll send you the picture. You'll laugh.
That was probably Nick or Misty, I would imagine.
I think it was Misty.
Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah, and you've got races kind of all over. Georgia Death Race, Sweat, Swat, and Swirl. That's an interesting one.
Sweat, swat, swear.
Swear, yeah, that's an exclamation mark, not an L.
Yeah.
Good call.
It's Andy Matthews down here. He's like an old school trailhead and puts on awesome races all kind of locally. He's the one that hosts Long Haul too, so he's got a bunch of little races around here, and then Long Haul's a big one.
Well, we need to get him on here too.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Tell me a little bit about this race, because I've saw this race posted multiple times, and I just don't know a lot about, and this may be the same race director, but Skunk Ape?
Yeah.
So I don't know a lot. I've saw several people post on this race, a lot of people that we obviously run with or know, but I absolutely know nothing about those races. It looks like you ran Skunk Ape Not Run.
Yeah, I go out. It's a good friend of mine, Joe Fuller. The first few of his races were just like backyard, just having fun. Like, let's everybody bring a potluck, and he's got some random medal you get. You know what I mean? Like very low budget, no frills kind of thing. It's like $15, and you bring something for the potluck. They're a blast. So he's got several events like that, like low cost events. But then he's now has the Skunk Ape 100, which I really want to do. And he also hosts the Tampa Bay one, which is all asphalt. But that one, I think it's in August. So that August or September, I can't remember when it is. But the Tampa Bay, I can't remember when it is, but it was hot. It may be closer to the fall. We'll have to look it up. I have never run it yet. I crewed one of my clients to win the inaugural one, Mike Alberts. But I've never run it because I'm not a big fan of running 100 miles on asphalt. The Skunk Ape 100, I definitely want to do when it fits the schedule right.
Yeah, I've saw some of the pictures and stuff. It's definitely an intriguing race. I definitely will.
Down there. He went on there
Who did?
Bob Adams.
Oh, Bob Adams.
Can't remember which one it was, but he did that about a month ago.
Yeah, I think he won.
The 100?
He won.
That's a
No,
skunk.
it wasn't the 100. It might have been the 100K. I think
same
it was 100.
race, though. If it was that distance, yeah, it's the skunk ape, his newest race. So it's just a shorter version because the 100's an out and back course, so you can hit about any distance you want.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, of all your races, which one's been probably your most memorable?
It's hard to say because there's different things you remember about each of them. I think No Business was probably my favorite just because I did get it like completely handed to me and still walked away with the buckle. And it's more of an eye opener because I've been really, really competitive at about every distance that I've ever run up until that point. But if you look, that No Business was actually my first like true 100 I signed up for. So it was pretty eye opening to see the different sides of things and how people operate in 100 milers. Because up until the 100K mark, I could run 100K, but I can't run 100 miles. So there's different strategies that got to come into play. So I think that's the most memorable for the fact that like I had the realization that there's a lot more I still don't know about what I'm trying to do. But beyond that, I mean, there's a lot of great memories out there, all for different reasons. I mean, that's my first real 100, but I ran 100 miles for the first time on that virtual race that's at the bottom there. I was signed up to run, I can't remember. I think I was signed up to run long haul. Maybe it was. I can't remember which race I was signed up for, to be honest with you. No, I was signed up for, man, I'm going to have to think about that.
Is this Hubert's 2020 run for sanity?
Yes, because that was right when COVID, everything broke loose and everything got canceled. And I'm really frustrated. I can't remember. I was signed up to run Death at Dupuy Backyard Ultra, which I'm glad I didn't go to that time in my life. But that's what I was signed up for. But yeah, so everything got canceled. And Bree Lost, the one that makes all of our metal or all our wooden awards with Wicked Skin, she just thought it upon herself to have these virtual races because she sells them, you know what I mean? She makes awards. So races need to happen for her to make a couple bucks. So she came up with a lot of unique ideas for virtual races, and we actually hosted some. But this one was literally just run as far as you can in a single run and see what happens. So, but you had like the course of a month to do it. So the strategy was kind of rough because the month ended on like a Tuesday, and I didn't want to take off work for this thing. So we were watching people pile up these runs, and I'm like, well, I'm not going till the very end. Like, why am I going to go, in the middle of the month? So I ended up starting mine like on a Friday night and finished, in the middle of the morning on Sunday or whatever it was. But then two guys went out, that Monday or Tuesday or, before the end of the month and beat me. But I think it was like 116 or something's on there.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I actually hit 100. It was pretty cool because I broke 20 at 100 miles, but I think it took me like 8 more hours to do the other 16 because I was just sitting in my garage. I had a bunch of my friends and all of our OCR for peers really were on a Zoom call on my laptop in the garage, and that was my aid station. So I'd run a 5K loop, come in, grab something, talk to them, run back out. So I know I could have run harder, but once I got to the 100 mark, I sat down, drank a beer, and shot the crap with them for a little bit, and then went back just walking around the block for a while.
Yeah. To do 116 miles for your longest distance, that's pretty damn good after you've done, 100K being your longest distance. And to do it in 20 hours to break 100.
I felt good about it. I mean, it was on the road in the neighborhood in Florida, so it wasn't any challenge, but other than
you say that, but I mean, a road 100-miler hurts a whole lot worse than a trail.
You know what's funny? I don't know how much of a shoe guy you are, but I ran that first 100 in the old New Balance RC 1400s. It's like a 10K half marathon shoe, and I ran 100 miles in them. But I love those shoes. I always did. I hated when they got rid of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell some ignorance here, but my first 50K, I ran in a pair of, I don't even know if people remember these, and I may say the name wrong, but I absolutely, Chris, when I started running, I didn't know anything. I didn't talk to anybody. I just started doing it. But I ran a 50K in a pair of Reebok, what are they called? Zigs or Zags? They're like they got all the blocks on the bottom of them.
Oh, yeah,
And you're
yeah.
like, they might be Reebok Zigzag or something. I don't remember.
They're just
But
like a casual shoe.
yeah, I had no idea. That's the only shoe I had. So I ran my first 50K in those, and my feet, I lost like every toenail I had. I was like, well, I guess this is just normal. I don't know.
Well, toenails will eventually, it is kind of normal, but not to run in some suede Zags.
It was funny. I noticed people were staring at me when I was running. I was like, well, whatever.
How'd you finish?
I think it was like 5 hours something.
That's a pretty good time for some casual.
But it was road. I mean, that made it worse. I'm running that, and I couldn't even imagine if I'd have got on trail with those shoes, but I didn't know. So, your most memorable is no business. Is that also your hardest?
I mean, per mile, Quest for the Crest is the hardest, I think. Just because there's a lot of bouldering. There's a lot of not running in that race that I wasn't prepared for. I mean, they tell you about it, and you hear the stories, but you always think they're hyping it up more than it should be. And nope, it's real. I made a wrong turn on that course and bombed about probably half mile, but half mile straight down, and then had to climb back up. And then I started chasing. Once I started chasing, it was a disaster. So the last 12 miles of that race really got me pretty good. So that was probably the hardest mile for mile course I've ever done. Some of these Florida races, once I first started them, like the Vero Beach Octopus 100, it sounds crazy to say, but East Coast Florida race in the middle of July, and he puts you through like the mangroves and the scrub, like you're in sand more than you're on anything. That race is 100% strategy, and that's why I just do well over there, because I'm a good planner and I got the best crew. But I would say, I mean, for Florida, I mean, that's an extremely hard race. And there's another one down in Jupiter, the Sand Spur down there, Mikey B puts on, that I did the first year of the Ridge to Nowhere. So it's basically like a backyard ultra, but it's only like 3.4 miles on the hour every hour. But it's all sand, and it's on sand dunes. So not only sand, but you're going up and down, and it just feels like you're on a treadmill. So, and then it also, not only do you have to finish it, then there starts to be elimination rounds. So the last person in the loop gets kicked out. So I did that first year, and it was 12 hours, and they've since made a 24-hour one. And I have no desire to go do it at all. I coach people for it. I go down there and crew them. I'll go volunteer, but I am not running that race. It's too hot.
Sounds like the one Jamie did down there.
Yeah, Jamie, she won it.
Oh, okay.
Jamie Saunders? Yeah, yep. She won it. It's called Immolation now, the 24-hour.
Yeah. Okay,
Jamie Saunders won it. Yeah.
Yeah, she talks about
she
that.
Was there. Evie was there, my wife. She made it, I think she made like 18 or 19 hours, and she was just toast. I'd say that's the one place in the world I've ever felt that the heat was hotter coming up than it was coming down. It's like reflecting off of the sand, and it was just cooking you from the ground. So it didn't matter what you had on your head, it was still hitting you in the chin. Yep. It's nasty, man.
You'll get to run with Jamie at the Cherokee.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's coming back.
I talked to her about it a little. I saw her at packet pickup at the Florida Death Race. She was volunteering there, and I knew she had attempted it last year. And I asked her about it, and she was like, well, don't get caught up taking pictures. Yeah. You know how she is. She's like super sweet, and she was like telling me how awesome it was, and then like, but don't waste time taking pictures, because she said she spent too much time.
She said I spent way too much time at Buckballs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She'll get it done though, no doubt. She's a tough girl.
She is the kindest and one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. And like when you first talk to her, you're like, okay, she's just being super nice. No, that's just her all the time. And I mean, even when she DNF'd, you would have thought that someone handed her a blank check. Like, she was just as excited as could be, and she was so thankful. And I was just like, man, why can't everybody be like this?
She came back they brought her back to the school, And she got out. She was just so thankful. And I'm like, huh, okay. But then
This is what it's
that's
supposed
how
to look
she
like.
is.
Yes, we my good buddy and I, Gus, ran Miami 50/50 last year. Jamie had a partner that had to drop on her like last minute with over an injury or something, so she called my wife because she knew we were going down anyway. So they ended up running together. So Evie ran with her, and my buddy Gus and I ran. And we ended up sharing a hotel room with her. And we went out to dinner, and she's just that nice all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, she's so sweet. It's kind of cool. Like, you love to see people like that, and especially people like that that are actually just tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like when she starts running, it's like she's a different person though. Like, she's still sweet, but she's gritty. I mean, she's very gritty. She will get it done. I have no doubt.
She was, and at Immolation, I kind of questioned her attack because she was front running with the best of the best the whole time. And I'm like, is she really going to push all night long? And then she had a couple recovery laps, probably intentionally, but man, she was just grinding the whole time. I was like, this is impressive to watch.
She's
good.
awesome. Yeah, so that brings us all the way to current. So it looks like the next race you're signed up for is the Cherokee, which we've already talked about. What else you got on the bucket list for this year?
That's it, man. I told myself I had 2 or 3 races on the schedule when I signed up for Cherokee, and I said I wasn't adding anything else to the calendar. So you're my one and only until that happens. I'm sure I'll run another race this year, but it won't be till after Cherokee. So
Well, I love it.
I'm committed to at least putting up a respectable effort. I'm gonna come ready. It might still kick my butt, but I'll be ready.
No doubt.
No,
I've seen your training. You're throwing out the miles, and you're doing it the right way.
You're definitely asking the questions and getting the recon on it. Going to come up here and train on the course. So
yeah, and for anybody that wants to come run, Chris is going to do a group run on the Cherokee. Is that next weekend?
Next Friday. We're going to probably run next Friday and Saturday, but probably the long one Friday morning.
Yeah, nice. So anybody that wants to join, definitely reach out. We'll get you out there. So, Chris, let's talk a little bit now about your actual events. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your events? I think you said you have 7 total. So tell us a little bit about each event. Let's hear about them.
Yeah, we'll kind of go, I guess, in the calendar order. It'll make it easiest. January, usually middle of January. Actually, next year it's January 31st. Is Kuwachobi. It's down in Venice, Florida, Carlton Reserve. Last year was the inaugural event of that, and it was a lot of fun. All single loop courses. So we have a 5K, a 25K, and a 50K, all single loop. It's really kind of a unique park because the first 12 miles of it or so are on super windy, narrow, single track mountain biking trails. They're kind of all in the palm fronds and stuff. I'll post some videos about it, but it's pretty amazing once you're in there. And as soon as you start to get sick of it, it opens up and it's like you're in the middle of Africa. It's like you see across the plains and can see for, 10 miles. I'm looking into Matakwa State Park. So then the next, I think it's 12, 13 miles is super fast running, dirt, little bit of sand. There's even like some almost like laid down grass. It feels like a carpet almost in one spot. I call it the golden carpet because it was just this yellow grass that was like insanely soft. And then the last few miles, you dive back into the trails, working your way back to the finish line. So first year that went really, really well. I had the aid station spaced. I think it was fair, but some people felt like they got a little long. So we're going to add another aid station next year. So that was my learning point for that one. But great event. I'm super excited to bring it back again. Next would be February. We have a brand new race in February. It's going to be February 2026. That one is at Howley Park, which is a permanent cross-country course. Something I never really thought about doing before until I went to my stepdaughter's first cross-country meet there and just saw it's terrain like none other in Florida. It's got these little hills and valleys that roll through it. I think I got almost 300 feet of gain, which that sounds tiny for you guys, but in a 10K loop. Yeah, and on a 10K loop. So we're going to offer like a 10K, 30K, and 50K for that one. And we also do like a 2-man relay for the 50K. So you can rip it 10K at a time, see what you can do as a two-person team. So that one's going to be a blast. After that, we have a couple months off, and then May, which follows up with the race that we just had in Ohio. Probably my personal favorite trails in all of Ohio at the Great Seal Park. The name of the race is the Big Deal at Great Seal. All single track, about 3,000 feet of gain for a 25K loop. So then you get 6,000 in your 50K. So it's brutal, but it's a lot of fun. I call it the roller coaster because there's zero flat on the entire course. And a lot of the climbs are, well, we kind of do it like no business does. We run it clockwise one year and then we run it counterclockwise the next. So this year, when you run it clockwise, you go straight up. It's called Sugarloaf Mountain. It's a really tall hill, very steep. And then it just kind of rolls all the way across the ridge, wraps around another hill and comes back. So it's a lot of fun. That one we have so it's a 2-loop 50K or a single loop 25K. And then we also have a 5K there. Then what we're preparing for now is Matakwa, which we already talked about, the 2-mile loop, 24-hour race. That one's just special because as a runner, like I have mixed feelings about the loop races. I love them because I can kind of push my limits and carry, a handheld water bottle and just rip it. I don't have to pack anything with me, but then it does get monotonous. But again, you like the mental challenge. But as a race director, they're by far so much fun to host because you don't have to run all over God's green earth putting out fires. You actually get to see the action and hang out with people and get to chat a little bit. So it was really eye-opening last year hosting that the first time. So it's probably one of my favorite ones to host. After that, we have Yodi in September back in Tar Hollow State Park in Ohio, just 12 miles from the Big Deal. This one is probably the most special because, again, we have single loop 25K, single loop 10K, and a single loop 50K. But Tar Hollow State Forest does not allow mountain biking. So therefore, there is no trail maintenance.
Yeah.
Great Seal, like self-maintains. All the kudos to all the mountain bikers around there and all of our peers that we know in the trail world up there because Great Seal is pristine all the time. And we may have to go in and clear something that's fallen recently. Other than that, it's very, very low maintenance. We can do it the week of the race in Great Seal. Tar Hollow State Forest, it's the third largest state forest in Ohio. And I think they have like 4 maintenance guys. So basically, their job is to take a bulldozer and keep the roads clean. Like they don't touch the trails. They have nothing to do with the trails at all. So there are some sections of it that are on the Buckeye Trail that some volunteers try to maintain to some degree. But honestly, my brother and a few of our friends spend their entire summer out there. I paid for one of my buddies, Carl, to get Seesaw certified. And we have permits to go out there and clear trails and cut trees. My brother's out there with weed eaters and hedgers and everything he can carry out there. And these are hills. I mean, they're not mountains, but it's definitely not flat and the terrain is tough. So the course is almost never passable other than for our race. As soon as it rains a few weeks later, the briars start to come back over and you can't run through there. Or one storm comes through knocks 20 trees down and you can't run through it. So it's known and it's becoming well known that we do this because people flock from all over the state at the end of August, the beginning of September, because they know what we're doing. But the good thing is people are taking notice and we're starting to get a lot more people willing to help and wanting to volunteer. When I was home just a couple weeks ago for the Big Deal, I kind of said that Yodi was on the chopping block because I can't expect people to do that for me every year. I live 1,000 miles away. So unless we get more help, like I can't ask them to do it all the time. It was either going to just go away or become a 25K loop or something to make it more manageable. And I don't know how many people said, nope, what do we got to do? Like, we'll keep it open. We're going to make it happen. Good friend of mine, Dave Huggins, who hosts the big relay race up there, the Buck 50. He's now president of what's now Chillicothe Trail volunteers. Trail community in my hometown is just exploding. And we're lucky we get to be a part of this explosion. But now they have this whole group of volunteers that they're starting to, plan days on different parks that they're going to go to. So I have a feeling you're going to know Chillicothe because of me, but I have a feeling a lot more people are going to get to know Ross County, Ohio really soon because the amount of trails concentrated in a small area that people are now laying their hands on, it's pretty fun to see. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there.
No, that's good.
So that's Yodi. I'm just super passionate about it because my brother busts his butt to keep that one going. We did a big donation with registration last year, and people really contributed and stepped up. So hopefully we can keep that going too. But after that, October is Rule the Roost, which is the one at Buzzard's Roost. That's another one, really, really fun. It's like a 4.5 mile loop, about 500 feet of gain on that. Runs along some cliffs and like old cemetery and old homestead up on a hillside. We had perfect weather last year at a big stone fire pit with the, tent city and a big fire pit and people grilling out. And again, we had a photographer filming that event, and he said your races just feel like a family reunion, and like that's what I want, And then it was kind of funny because this last weekend at the big deal, my wife is at the finish line regardless of the weather or what's going on. She's at the finish line for every single runner. She gives every single runner a hug. She puts their medal around their neck. Even if they try to take it from her, she's like, nope, I'm putting it on you. And then a young man, 20 something, said, he's like, man, you guys make me feel like your family. So it's like the second time in a year that we heard that, made it all worth it. But Rule the Roost is a 12-hour loop race where we do a 12-hour, or you could just do a single loop 4.5 mile, or you could do a 2-man 12-hour there too. So that's a lot of fun. So we like our relays.
Loop courses are fun though.
They are.
I mean, you really get to learn your runners and get to be a part of the entire event when you do a loop run. I mean, like you said, the point-to-point runs, I mean, sometimes they're just so chaotic, trying to put out fires, keep hydration going, shuttling stuff back and forth. In a loop race,
by the time you stop, like everybody's, like half the people are already at home, and you're like, you don't get to see anybody. I always say it's like my wedding day. Like all these people that I want to spend my time with and talk to and hang out with, and I'm too busy to talk to them. It's horrible.
Is that all of them?
We got to October, and then December. We have RunFluent Christmas in December. It's a local community park that's just a few miles from us, so I love that. I just run stuff down the road when I need it or go pick something up. It's a really cool little park. It's right in the middle of town. You would never expect it to be here. We actually lived here for about 2 years, and we knew the park was there, and we knew like there was a little fitness trail that ran through it, just like a sand road with pull-up bars and sit-up and benches and things like that. So we would run through there, but I honestly had zero idea that there were any like true trails in there. And then I started coaching a local guy, and I'm looking at his runs, and I look at the map. I'm like, where is he running? And I'm like, this is my neighborhood, and I see him like all through this park. So I took the truck over there and just started walking around. I'm like, how did I not know this was here? So that's what sparked the idea for our first race, is just looking at one of my clients' maps. Like, had no idea that they were even in there. So it's cool, a cool little spot. It's I'm tailoring it. We've kind of tweaked it every year. The first year it was just a 5K, 10K to get our feet wet in hosting races, and then we made it a 7-hour race the next year. And the idea behind 7 hours, I just wanted to give as many people the opportunity to earn a 50K as possible. So I feel like on a very easy course, if you train, most people can run a 7-hour 50K. So that was the number I put out there. So that was 2 years ago, and the loop was like almost exactly 4 miles. So I ended up having to allow them to do a half lap to hit their 50K, and it was kind of frustrating to manage that. So I tweaked the course so it's like 4.46 mile, whatever it needs to be. That exactly 7 loops is a 50K. So we intended to do that last December, but that was right after the hurricanes, and they were using that park as a debris collection site. So our entire park was full of palm trees and trash and people's homes. It's the first race I ever had to cancel. So that like super broke my heart because I never wanted to be that guy. But when FEMA says the park's closed, the park's closed. So we tried to get permits in every other place we could possibly find. Everything was closed. That was it. So we're excited to have that back this December down here. And we did add, because we have so much fun with relays, we decided to add a 2-man option for the 7-hour too.
Nice. Now, are there any future events you're working on?
No, not at all. Honestly, I don't have any intentions of doing any more just because, as we discussed earlier, I work full time now. I have always. I work full time at Tampa General Hospital in physical therapy. So I have 40-hour a week job, coach a lot of runners all over the country now. So my time is already spread pretty thin. And with 4 of these races being 1,000 miles away, I think that's plenty for now.
Yeah.
There are 2 more parks in Ohio I would love to do it at, but it's just I can't do it right now. We did have a course open. We were going to run or host a race in Mississippi, but like I said earlier, we let things happen organically, and it felt like we were just trying to force this thing to happen, and it wasn't getting any traction. We actually even opened the registration. We had like 2 people sign up in 2 months, and like everybody I reached out to was like, "Oh, this is really cool, but I have this going on." Or, I'll see you next year. Or I talked to a couple of different run clubs, and, I, of course, scoured all over Mississippi looking for all races around that area, and there was nothing going on anywhere close to that time, but I didn't think to look in Alabama, and there's a giant road race going on in Alabama, and somewhere in Alabama that everybody goes to. So I called my buddy. It's his property, and he was more excited about it than I was, I think. And I think that's why I really wanted it to work. He's out there building these trails. So it's kind of disappointing, but I told him, we got to pull the plug before we get knee deep in it and then it still fall apart. So we decided to pull a plug on it and just refund the 2 people that did sign up. But again, I don't want to feel like I'm trying to force anything to happen. So I never say no. It's like not going to happen, because if somebody calls me and say, "Hey, I have a park," or "I don't want to do my race anymore, you want to take it over?" I'm not going to say no without listening to what the opportunity is.
Yeah, that's how we are too. We try to be open, because it's one of those where if there's a good opportunity and it looks like a cool race, like it could be fun.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, you definitely don't want to just force it, and that's that usually never really works when you're just trying to put something on that even you don't really know if it's a good idea or not. So
Yeah, it was going to be a great event. It's just it was in the middle of nowhere. Lodging was going to be an issue. So if it's going to happen, it's going to have to be like a big undertaking that I'm willing to put a lot of effort into. And that's still a 10, 11-hour drive for me. So if I can't get there for a long weekend on a regular basis to make sure everything's perfect, then we're just going to have to wait.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing is, though, is you've built a great atmosphere. You've built probably exactly what you wanted, like a community, a family feeling. And that's exactly what we've tried to do. It's like you want to feel like you're a family where anybody can feel accepted. That is so important in this world anymore, like to go somewhere and to just feel accepted. So kudos to you. I mean, like for people to want to come and just show up and to feel like it's a family atmosphere, that means a lot, because a lot of races don't feel like that anymore.
Yeah. And at the end of the race a couple of weeks ago at the big deal, I mean, you know how race weekends go, and I have help, but I'm one of those people that I have to lay my hands on everything to make sure that I know it's done right. Even after people mark the course, I go run the course, to make sure it's marked. But I'm just always, come race morning, like I'm delirious. So I have to have notes or stuff written down, because I won't say it at the pre-race briefings or whatever. But that race, it rained the entire day. It had been a rainy week, and I had already been soaking wet for like 3 or 4 days. But all I kept praying that like my setup the night before, just getting because I do all my own timing, I do all my own sound equipment, I have all my own stuff. And I'm like, please just let me get all this set up, my tents up, and then do what you want to do after that. Because, I got to set it's just me and my 17-year-old son setting aid stations in the middle of the night, So it did, man. It stayed dry all night long. I was like pushing at like midnight, 1 o'clock, and things I would normally wait till morning to do, I'm like, I'm just going to get it done. It's not raining yet. I'm going to keep working. It's not raining. I'm going to keep working. And then it's like 3 o'clock and I'm done, and it hadn't rained. I'm like, cool, I'm going to get a nap. Took a couple-hour nap and woke up And I'm not kidding you. As soon as they got in the corral, it started raining, and it didn't quit the rest of the day. My timing mats were floating. I had to tear everything down and like drag it into the shelter house, but it didn't rain while I was trying to set it up, so I couldn't complain. But my wife asked me, she was like, "Is this all worth it?" Like, and she knew the answer, but it 100% is. And I got kind of emotional talking to her because this is my hometown back there. So some of these people that are coming out there, like, never ran before at all, like never. One of my good friends, and she won't mind me mentioning her, Paige Smith. I mean, she was a sprinter running track in high school with me, but never, I don't think she ever ran since, and she comes out to all my events because she's a friend of mine. And now she just signed up for Matakwa for the 24-hour event. I mean, she has zero intentions of going out there and like trying to rule the world. She just wants to go out there and walk a lap and hang out with us, and jog a lap, hang out with the crew. Her, and there's a couple other people that say, they do this because I do it. They and now they've found that community that we all know and love, and know that it's for everybody. It's not for all these elite athletes and studs. Like, it's cool to watch them run, but the more you race direct or even have a rough race and you see the people in the middle of the back of the pack, it's like, well, they're the ones that it's all about, because they're working just as hard and they're doing it for twice as long.
Yep,
absolutely.
So that's why, I mean, if you're trying to make money in this business, like, you're not going to be real happy, I don't think. I always say, this family supports the races, and it's not the other way around, and that's the truth. But it all pays off in the end, for sure.
I mean, memories are priceless.
Yeah.
There's no amount of money that will ever pay for the gift that we've gotten for being race directors. And you said it, like, some of the middle of the pack and back of the pack runners, they may have lost 200 pounds to be there. And it's the very first time they've ever ran a step in their life. And they just ran a 50K or a 25K or whatever. And there is nothing that will ever replace seeing that person cross the finish line.
Yeah, no doubt.
That makes it all worth it. There's not the amount of money that will ever change that, because, you can have money, but to have that memory and know that you help someone do something that they never thought they could do, that's priceless.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's so fun to watch it grow in my hometown. There's a running group, Ignite Run Club there, and it started with just a couple people. And now every Tuesday night they have 40, 50 people coming out and running. I'm like, I know that person, and they're not a runner, And it's just this little town that's just decided, hey, we're going to go be healthy and play in the woods. So it's awesome.
I love it. Yeah, it's funny. I just shared a GIF the other day with the race crew over here at ECA. That I can't remember what we were talking about, but we were talking about a new event or something, and I found like an old Kevin Costner Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. and I shared it, and I just sent one to Matt, because Matt's always the guy like, I don't even know what that is. I was like, Matt's probably too young for this video. I was like, it's because he doesn't know half the stuff we talk about. Half the time he's like, I don't know, I've never heard of it.
Never heard of that. But I knew Field of Dreams.
And so I had to give him a hard time. I'm like, you know what Field of Dreams is, but you've never seen Tin Cup? Like, come on now. You got to watch both of those.
Never saw Tin Cup.
It's worth it.
Well, man, that's pretty awesome. I love what you're doing, though, and I can't wait to get out to run one of your events. And sounds like Mr. Williams is going to come join me when I come run one of your events.
Hey, 2-mile courses are good because you can send it.
You need to get on there and look at the buckle.
I need to see the buckle.
It's a really nice buckle.
It's pretty. I probably got some around here somewhere.
So you said you do your own race timing. Did you build your own timing system, or did you try to find one used somewhere?
I bought one off of a friend. The guy that timed my first 5K, 10K. He's a local pastor. We had become friends with him through. He used to host some of the like local small obstacle course races. He got out of that, and then he was just doing private timing. And I think he's just taking on a bigger role at the church and wanted to offload it. So I bought his pre-existing stuff. So his like RFID reader and a couple of his antennas. And then he had all the sound equipment too, so he wanted to get rid of it all. So, I bought all the sound equipment too, and then I've just recently upgraded to all like the reusable, like the Hue tags, harder, bigger RFID chips. They just read a lot more consistently. We're using all those for all of our events now. So started dabbling in timing for other people, but just taking that slow and letting it travel by word of mouth, because I don't want to fill every single weekend.
And you
But
can.
it helps offset a little bit of the cost.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. We
Yep.
time 5Ks. We don't promote it, but it just seems to be word of mouth continues to spread.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, like timing a 5K,
Yeah,
that's
3
half-
hours.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say that's a third of the work of what we're used to. We
Yep.
show up, roll out with a finish line and a timing mat, and I've even got to where I do the bibs, so I'll print the bibs and everything here, and
Nice.
so it's become a little bit more streamlined, which makes it easier. There's definitely an opportunity to help people with 5Ks and timing, even 10Ks. But
100%, because the whole reason I ended up buying the equipment, I asked somebody what it would cost to time a 24-hour race. I don't want to tell you what that number was, but I told you I bought some equipment real quick.
Oh yeah, equipment's probably cheaper than the 24-hour timing price.
Almost. So, I mean, and that's why, I charge people about half of what other people do, because I don't care. I enjoy it. I get out and watch people run, and I say, give my stepdaughter a free entry and my wife a free entry, and I'll sit here and time them, whatever.
timing is something too that it takes a couple of times before you feel comfortable with it, and because just when you think you have figured this thing out, that some bitch will not connect.
Yeah. I test it 3 or 4 times before every race, because the first couple of times I did. Luckily it was small events, so I could still tap on the iPad. But man, those first couple of times I'm like, why is this not working? I've tested this thing 100 times at home. But what I realized is every time I load a new race, I have to remove my reader and reinstall it. Every time I do that right before the race, it's never failed me. But even though the antenna ID, or not the antenna, but the reader ID is in there, sometimes it doesn't pick it up. So I have to reinstall it every time. But I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, we just
nothing worse. I think it was a 12-hour race, and I was sat there for 12 hours with my iPad looking at bib.
Yeah, we just timed we helped put this race on, but it's the Bigfoot 5K. And normally I have Tony who helps with timing. He usually does the timing, and then we're just like the backup people, and we're mostly race directing. But Tony's daughter graduated from UT, so he wasn't there, which means David was doing all the timing.
Mhm.
And with 1,000 runners, on a 5K. Now,
That's
1,000 runners is okay
Mhm.
when you got a longer race. But 1,000 runners in a 5K means in the span of about 20 minutes, you can promise that you're going to see 500 people come through the finish line.
For sure.
And then the other 400 to 500 will, be behind that. But I was just and all the way, I'm not kidding you, Chris, we're running all over the place. We got Channel 8 out here. They're doing the race speech. And I didn't get the timing system to finally connect till 4 minutes before the race. I was freaking out. I was like, oh, come on, you piece of, I was just and it was kind of like you. I had to finally go in and uninstall and reconnect it. And finally the reader connected. But I was like, my gosh. I was about to just get my phone out and just record people coming through the finish line.
Yeah. With the clock. Have a picture of the clock. My wife's learned that hour and a half before, until I walk out of my timing tent, please, unless it's a life or death issue, do not come bug me. Because again, I'm doing sound and stuff too, so it's getting easier. Every time you do it, it's a little easier. But until you get that routine, it's the most stressful thing in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, Mike and Matt, they know.
Yeah.
Do not bother me. They can see it on my face. They just stay away.
Don't bother him. Let him do his thing. Let him because the computer stuff I have no clue over, and so let him do it. Let him figure it out. and we'll clean up, we'll set up, we'll put up the finish lines, we'll get everybody together. No timing stuff.
But we kind of started the same way. We luckily our buddies Tony and Kathy, they run magic number events, another awesome race directors, and they were some of the first actual ultras that I ran. But they helped us time our first race or two, and that's kind of how we got into it. Because we were kind of the same with you. Like if you go to price someone to time a 24-hour race, you're like, well, how am I going to pay for that in my first event? Like I'll be lucky to get 10 people, Yeah. But man, it's such a blessing to like know race directors and to be a runner, because like literally things just like fell into place. And it's like what you were talking about is you don't want to feel like you force anything. But I ran a race, Buffalo Mountain, and we're running this race, and it's a 24-hour race. And the race director said, "You're a race director, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "We want to talk to you after the event." I'm like, "Okay." I run the event, and they want to talk to me, and like I'm, about to fall asleep over here, and they're like, "We've decided like we're done. We're not going to put on any more events. We're going to sell all of our stuff if you're interested." We got 2 timing systems, a huge race clock, all kinds of stuff. And we gave nothing for it. Like they were just trying to find someone that really needed to use it. But, and then I ran another race later on, and we ended up taking that race over. They were going to finish that. That was their last year. It was their 10th year. They're like, "Well, we're done, but you're a race director, right?" And so, like things just, if you don't force everything, like it's okay to force some stuff if you truly believe in it. But if you're doing the right things and you're just being kind and you're doing the things you should do, like things will happen. Like I truly believe that. And that's what's happened for us. Like it's really expensive to go try to buy a new timing system.
Oh yeah.
Now, since then, we don't even use that timing system. I built a new one because those chips are extremely expensive for that one, and I can order these for like 20 cents each. So big difference. But, we wouldn't have been able to get started and do the things we were doing without that help. And I'm sure you've had help along the way, but it's, without those people, other race directors and stuff giving you advice, it's hard. So I'm glad that people are open and encourage other race directors to get started.
Absolutely. You surround yourself with good people, good things happen, you look, when we start talking, not even 6 months ago, probably just shooting the crap online, and here we are, about to go make me run up and down a mountain.
I love it. I can't wait to hang out. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I'm ready to come up there for sure.
And then we're going to have to come see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We take the boat out and go fishing and log some miles all at the same time.
I love fishing. I've not got to do that a lot in years.
I'm not very good at it. I'm a caster and a reeler, but we'll have fun on the boat. Yeah,
my brother irritates me. We can go stand side by side. He'll catch 14 fish. I'll get hung up 3 times.
Yeah. Understood.
Well, Chris, I'd like to ask you the question we ask everybody on this podcast, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Williams here for listener questions. But we ask this question for everybody, and that is, why? Why do you continue to run and to push yourself, when things are so hard and you're obviously working a day job, you're a race director, and you're a runner, but why do you continue to run, and why do you continue to be a race director?
I think that's constantly evolving, When I first got back into running, it was just to escape life. I wasn't in a good place back then. So when I first got back into it, it was just kind of like turn everything off, and when I'm running, I don't have to think about it, I got pretty far from the church for a long time. Honestly, once I got into ultras and got back in the trails, like that's when I feel closest to God. And so I kind of dove in to the hills a little bit more and more as, life started to get better, and I realized that that's where I needed to be. But now, life's great. I couldn't complain about anything that happens to me at all. I think my why now, one is just to kind of try to continue to be an example for my clients, just showing that the consistency pays off. I love running with my clients. I love pacing and crewing clients. I'm going down to the Keys this weekend to pace. I think you had Whitney on your show once, right? Whitney Dancaster?
Yep. Whitney's awesome.
Crewing her in the Keys this weekend. And, spending my whole weekend doing something like this is like, it's just like a dream come true, and I get to call it a job. And then again, on the race side, you continually beat yourself up, hosting these events. I was showing the girls at work the other day that my HRV on Garmin, like for a whole week, my HRV drops like way down in the red, and it finally comes back up, and it's like worse than if I had run a 100-mile race, you know. But it's worth it. It's all worth it. So I think I do it because, especially the race directing side, there's so many races out there that you go to and you see opportunities in those races. And it's not that you're mad, you know, it's like maybe they're not runners or maybe they're just a little numb to certain things. But I'm a firm believer. And if there's a dime left from the race, like let's put it back into the race right now. And if there's a day we got to rely on these races, then so be it. We'll rely on them. But I've kind of had the saying that we're both going to eat before I put the leftovers away, you know? So I want to keep everybody fed and keep them hungry at the same time, keep them coming back.
Love it. Good answer.
Thanks.
All right, Mr. Williams.
All right, we got a few listener questions, and then we got the questions that we ask everybody. But the first one is, what brings you joy in race directing?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think we kind of covered that a little bit already. But again, it's just seeing those people accomplishing things that they never thought they could accomplish and just being there, being that person that's standing there when they do it. I have a good friend of mine. He's a great runner. He's just never run 100 miles, and he's about to do it at one of my races here in a couple of weeks. And I'm super, super pumped about that. I mean, there's no better feeling than knowing, oh, this is a guy that cuts trees on the Yodi course. You know, he's out there doing trail work for me and trail maintenance for me all summer long, and you know, sweating with my brother and getting eaten up by horseflies, and he's gonna come run 100 miles at one of my races, and it's just a really cool feeling.
Yeah.
Awesome. The next one is it difficult being such a bad A?
I want to know who asked that question.
Let's see who this is. Somebody I don't know.
You don't have to tell me if you don't want to.
I'll tell you when I get it pulled up.
Technology is not Matt's.
It's not. Well, it doesn't. You can't just click on his name. All
well,
right.
It all depends. You know, everything's in different people's perspective. You know, maybe some people see me as a badass. Maybe I see them as a badass. There's so many more people in this world that I look up to in every aspect of what I do. But I think the fact that I'm able to maintain all of it together, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at in life. So I like being good at everything. I don't care to be perfect at anything.
Yeah. All right. The next few questions are the questions that we ask everybody. The first one is, what is your favorite low-key race that you've done?
Favorite low-key race? There's like a old school backyard race called the Itch here in Florida. It's all through the Ocala National Forest. They announce it. You sign up. They drop you off. You follow the blazes to the finish line. You're lucky if they get water out before you get there, because I outran the water a few times. But it's a beautiful race. I mean, there's nothing to it. I mean, it's just, we're all going to line up over here, and you're going to finish 31 miles down the trail there. No course markings, anything. It's funny, I was running with this kid, Stu, and he's friends of some of our photographers, and he just showed up with them. Like, I'm going to run this 50K. He's a great runner. He's been a road runner, a marathoner, or whatever. And he's, you know, we're out there clipping pretty good. We're like probably running 8-minute miles to start the run, because we were trying to beat the heat. And he's looking at me. He's like, how'd you know to turn there? I'm like, follow the blazes. I'm like, you just follow the stack of the. He had no clue how to follow blazes. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, this is the wrong race for you. So mid-race, I'm teaching this kid how to read blazes. And then, so he hung with me like the first, I don't know, 16, 17 miles. And then we hit the swamps and he didn't know what to do. And I kind of took off from him. I'm like, you got the blazes, right? He's like, yeah, I got them. So he ended up making it. But that race is a blast. And it's, you know, they just keep it. I think they have like a capacity of like 30 people or something. They just like to get people out there and run it old school.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah. Let's see. At an aid station, would you rather have a sweet or a salty snack?
I rarely ever use an aid station, to be honest with you. Probably salty, but it depends. You know, if it's 100 degrees out, I'm probably going to grab a handful of Skittles or whatever's there. But usually the only time I use aid stations to fill up with water. Carry 90% of the time I carry all my own stuff.
What is your favorite hydration that you use?
I am sponsored by Simply Good supplements. So they have like a hydration, just electrolyte blend. Really, really good. That's what I use 90% of the time. If it gets really, really hot, I'll either double scoop that or I'll use Element Tea. But I like to keep my carbs and electrolytes separate. Well, for the most part, my carb mix has electrolytes in it too, but I definitely need more than what comes in that.
Yeah. Especially in that hot Florida weather.
Yeah. There was when I ran the Vero Beach Octopus Ultra, we were having this conversation with another podcast, and I averaged, this was back before Simply Good had their hydration. I was using all element, and I took in a gram of sodium an hour for 25 hours straight. And it should kill somebody. It should. And that's not even counting what was in my fuel and food and everything else. So it was just the hydration, but I sweat it all out.
Yep.
We're on the same page there.
Yeah, we had this conversation. I've been still looking at your little device.
Yeah.
If you could race your dream race, what would it be?
And I think I'm one of the rare people in this world that I don't get caught up on the big races at all. There's a lot of, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to go run those trails on all these big races, but the races themselves really don't, I mean, if I had the opportunity, I would go run them, but I'm not going to chase a race.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to sign up for a race and go run it if I want to go run it. But really, man, I would love to run a 100-miler in Great Seal State Park. It doesn't exist. They used to, and that was when I ran that 50, and 0 people finished it, the 100 that year. So I think that might have been why they moved it.
Wow.
But I would love to run 100 miles. Even if I just do it fat ass, I want to do it one of these days. And then I'll tease my buddy Dave Huggins again, because he puts on that $150 relay. I've run it 4 or 5 out of the, I think it's 7 years it's been around now. And I've begged him every year to make a solo division. And every year he progressively tells me no louder. If I had an opportunity, I would love to run the $150 solo.
Yeah, sounds like you need to make a Great Seal FKT 100-miler.
Yeah, for sure. It would be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure people finished it maybe the year before, but that year nobody did.
And that was you being such a badass, is wondering silently.
I'll have to think of who that is. Everybody got their pet names on Instagram. I can't handle that. It may be who is that? I don't want to assume and it be the wrong person, but I think I know who it is. Maybe Bradley.
Yep, you nailed it.
That's it.
I wasn't gonna say it, but
that's his buddy Stu was the one that didn't know how to read blazes.
Well, I got the good chance to meet them at Pinhoti last year, and they're good. They're just great people. They really are.
They came up to Matakwa last year and photographed it last year.
They're awesome.
Good people for sure.
That's all the questions I have.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, Chris, do you have any questions for us?
Where do I need to get water on this run? We'll talk about that later. I was thinking, he told me like that last climb, there's no water up to the top. So I'm like, I'm going to have to put a drop up.
Yeah, you probably will.
Yeah, we might be able to park vehicle to vehicle or something.
Yeah, you could do it vehicle to vehicle.
Too bad I ain't got the Land Cruiser right now.
Well,
I don't think the Mini Cooper is going to make it up there.
there.
I will tell you though, Chris, one of the things that we're doing this year, so it's perfect for, with you coming, we may get you to be a interviewer if you're interested, but we're going to do a documentary. We got a videographer coming. We're going to do a documentary of the 130K.
That's awesome. And he's done, because I YouTubed the hell out of you guys and I found like a couple little clips. So that'll be awesome, man. I actually was considering, Mike Alberts is coming to photograph Matakwa. And I was thinking about asking him if he wanted to come up and shoot it. But if you got somebody doing it, then I'll save him for another day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we want to get touch a little bit more on the video stuff. So
yeah,
we'll see how Ryan does. But so far, he did Bigfoot for us. I'll end up sharing that one tomorrow. He made just a little clip, but his work's great. And who was you saying?
I mean, a good video would do wonders. I mean, that's what got me to no business, and now I can't even get in no business because of the lottery. Crazy. But that end of the well video, man, have you watched that?
I don't think I have.
Man, you got to watch it. It's like the inaugural year of No Business. And it was called, I think it's called End of the Well on YouTube. And it's long. It's like an hour long or something.
I'm going to have to look it up.
Yeah, I never saw that
It's
one.
really cool. That's what sold me on that race.
Well, that's awesome. I'm going to have to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may incorporate you into this documentary.
You got to get my buddy Joey on there too. He's a trip. You'll love
it. Let's do it.
We're coming up to wreck the world or wreck ourselves, one or the other.
I love it. Well, Chris, any last questions?
No, man, I appreciate you guys having me. Good to get to know you all a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's been a blast, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Mm-hmm. Good luck to you and Whitney. You said that's next weekend?
This weekend.
This weekend.
I'll be up there next weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, she's done that race quite a bit. She's been very, very successful in it.
Yeah, she's got some competition this year. She's gonna have to work, but she's tough, man.
She's been putting in the work.
One of those looks sweet, innocent, pretty little girl, and all of a sudden she just comes out blazing. It's cool to watch.
Hey, just have her double fist some Celsius, and you're good.
Yeah, she's supposed to come up in June up here. I think we're going to try to get.
She goes over. She was over at
Frozen Head.
Yeah, Frozen Head. She goes up there to train because she wants to get into Barclays.
Yeah, she's supposed to come up. I think we're going to try to go run either the Cherokee course or somewhere around here when she comes up.
Cool. Yeah, she's strong. I've been with her, coaching her for a little over a year now. And man, she'll put in the work for sure. She's really trying to put on a little bit of strength, and it's starting to pay off. So hopefully we keep it moving this weekend. She had the last 2 years she's won the 50K, so we'll see. She's gonna give it hell, that's for sure.
Yeah. Love it. Some big races going on this weekend. That's awesome.
Yeah, they are.
Well, Chris, it gets hot down there.
Yeah, I don't know what the weather's going to be for Georgia Jewel or Cruel Jewel. I bet
probably rain.
I think it's probably supposed to rain the whole time.
Rain all weekend.
Or Marion Vermilion. We'll see how they do. I got faith in them. Well, Chris, man, thank you so much for taking the time to be on here, sharing your story, telling us a lot about your events.
Mm-hmm.
I truly wanted to find out more about who you are and, what all you did. So me and Matt were kind of excited to get you on here, and Matt's going to have to get on Instagram or Facebook and look at this
buckle.
Yeah.
We're running for the buckles.
It looks good. But we'll come see you soon, but we can't wait to see you here in Tennessee here in a month and a half?
Yeah, man, we're getting close.
Yeah, we are.
So, man, but thank you so much, and we'll try to get this podcast shared in the next few days before I head over to Cruel Jewel. So,
good luck to your fiance over there.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck to Whitney.
Thanks, brother.
Chris, you take care, man, and thank you so much for your time.
All right, chat soon, y'all.